All right, thank you all for coming. Congrats for making it to past round two, or I guess this is round 2B. Glad you could all make it in the snow. Just wanted to mention that a lot of you were here for the agriculture session, but they have the catamaran pitches are on the 17th of April, and just letting you know that you can certainly go there. If there's enough people, we might just take a van over. That's the 17th of April at 5 p.m. It's like a couple hours, but it is a ticketed event at Hack. So if you're interested, I can give you the sign-up link for it. And yeah, I think it'd be an awesome opportunity to just see real live pitches before you have to go in. So by that, I'll hand it off to Professor Nejmeh.
One other thing that you'll be hearing about is this summer, 5 students from Messiah will be given the opportunity to go to Praxis Academy at Iowa University in Los Angeles, which is a faith-informed business plan, entrepreneurial kind of boot camp, you might say, of learning from seasoned kingdom entrepreneurs and such. And Messiah sponsors 5 students to go. In years past, the only thing you've been responsible for is getting to and from Los Angeles. You're picked up at the airport, all your room, board, and meals are paid for, and you are definitely in a very distinctive Christian worldview setting that entire week. Peter Greer, one of our prominent alums, is a active part of that community. Dylan Thomas in years past, a number of our students, Jay, several folks here have been there. So if that's something that might appeal to you, let us know. It's historically been the first week in August.
Yes.
Right, so I think that's still the case. So just let us know. You'll see some sign up. There's an application process. They actually make a selection. They select students. We normally are oversubscribed, but we have 5 students that are able to go. Okay, I have a long ride ahead of me, so I want to be sort of getting through these materials at a reasonable clip. And in fact, the one main thing I want to do, Kira, would you mind shutting the doors? Because we're going to be playing a couple video clips, and I think that might be a little bit loud. So round 2B, welcome to round 2B, by the way, I should say. There are 12 teams standing. And the ratios are looking pretty good. That would mean 1 of every 2 teams is going to make it to the finals. So, depending on your perspective, that's good news or bad news, I guess. I think some of you are a little petrified about getting up on stage, so we'll see how that goes. Round 2B, the highlight is due midnight. I should say 11:59. Some of you might want to set your watches, by the way. It's 11:59, Richard among them. It's 11:59 p.m., April 2nd. 2 things are due. Your MP4 or Facebook link to your, or YouTube link to your video clip pitch, and your updated business plan refined by the comments and feedback that you got yesterday. Okay? We will then caucus as a committee, and by about 10 o'clock, April 5th, some 3 days later, we will announce the 6 finalists. Okay? And then we'll have a 1-hour organizing meeting, April 6th, to tell you all the logistics of things that I don't even want to bore you with right now, to ultimately be ready for the grand finale event, April 27th. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? All right. So, there we go. So 12 teams made it to round 2B, which is awesome. We are here in the journey, okay? And previews and coming attractions are here. I think we've kind of, Truth in Advertising, we've kind of said this since the beginning, so there should be no surprises around these ideas. on round 2B, what it is about. So, round 2B, in my mind, is the neatest part of the competition. Because your excitement about your idea comes forth in your presentation. Unlike your 9-page narrative. Boring sometimes, it's verbose, this is a chance to shine, right? So your video round, and we're gonna look at the 3 winners from last year's Impact Venture Challenge live clip, the on-demand clip, because I want you to have an image in your mind of what that 6 minutes could look like. You can use video clip in your video clip. In other words, think about that 6 minutes that you're gonna videotape for us and upload on April 2nd as what your team would look like live on stage for that 6 minutes. Okay, that's the best way to think about it. You can use props, you can use video as background. Obviously, you might have some slides to help tell your story, right? But be engaging, right? That's kind of the main thing about this. So we'll sort of talk about the process. So we'll make a couple comments about a good pitch. A good pitch is about the art of storytelling. I want you to make an emotional connection to your audience early on in your presentation. By emotional, I mean there's some heartfelt affinity and attraction to what you're messaging. Now, for some of you books, there might be a hard time to have a heartfelt attraction, although I think students feel in their pocketbook that night, or wallet might feel the pain that you're projecting. But I think in all seriousness, you do want to think about what's the passion of my storyline, and early on, catch them with that. Help them catch the vision for your storyline. Right? That's really, really important. Love this quote from the London School of Business. It said, 10% of people retain information you share with statistics versus 70% retain it when you tell a story. Right? Peter Greer is a great storyteller. I've learned a lot about the art of storytelling from Peter. You tell me a fact and I'll learn. You tell me the truth and I'll believe. You tell me a story and it will live in my heart forever. So that should be sort of how you're thinking about this. Be clear in your articulation, not only in your enunciation, but you'll want to choreograph what are the key messages I want my audience to take away. Right? Really think hard about key messages. Make the offer and its impact as tangible as possible. What does success look like? What could it look like? Through validation, what have you learned? Right? All those things are really, really important. You do want to communicate some sense that there is an opportunity out there, right? In any way, shape, or form, you want to communicate that. You want to make it clear there is a need for what you're offering, both on the business side and on the impact side. For some of you, that's one and the same. For some of you, you're actually going to sort of 2 different messaging schemes there, okay? By all means, look at the criteria published on our website about the criteria used for pitches, and have that be an influence on what you're doing. I say proper business attire. That's actually getting harder and harder to frame, because depending on your business, proper business attire could be athletic apparel that night. It could be a suit and tie or a dress. So I think what I want to say is appropriate attire, depending on what your business is, right? And I have this in there because 2 or 3 years ago, one of our students who arguably should have been in more business attire was in a t-shirt that had the logo of her business on it. I thought it was perfect. I had no issue. One of the judges come to me afterwards that she thought the attire of that person wasn't appropriate for the occasion. You're entrepreneurs. I'm going to let you decide that for yourselves, right? So you decide what's appropriate. My only thing is it should be in good taste, right? You're going to be in a public venue representing ultimately yourselves and the institution and the Lord. And I'd like you to think about that as a good testimony issue too, okay? All right. Couple suggestions. Pretty quickly, you have 6 minutes. 6 minutes goes by like that. It is fast. And you have so much that you want to communicate. So you quickly want to highlight who you are and the relevance of your background to the problem at hand. Very, very quickly, very sort of directly. And then you want to talk about what is the market opportunity and what's our offer, kind of interspersed in parallel, okay? And what's compelling about your offer? Why will this be successful? What have you learned during your process of journeying in this competition? What pivots have you made along the way? Okay? At some level, you should talk about your 3-year projections, revenue and income-wise. If you're a nonprofit, talk about your sources of donations and related earned income, and that you're going to be net. Here's the thing, I think it'd be very not in good business practice to put a 3-year model pro forma up, and even at the end of year 3, not show some sense of being cash flow positive. So I would say for all of you, you should reverse engineer your financials at a minimum that are credible, but that are at least showing you're at break even plus by the end of that 3rd year. And I think there are 1 or 2 of you for whose plans I commented on that, okay? So we want to be mindful of that. And certainly you should say, if we were to win the $5,000, this is what we would do with that money. And that's a proxy for, in business speak, venture capital speak, use of proceeds. How would you use the money if an investor decided to invest with you? So we're treating that $5,000 like an investment. How would you use that money? All right, here's the pitch. Quality materials, compelling case made for the venture, practical real-world relevance and experience, quality of your delivery, how you handle Q&A, confidence of presenters, and time management. So when we say 6 minutes, we don't mean 9.32 seconds. We don't mean 2.3 seconds. So please stay on point. The more over 6 minutes you go, we might even fade out and not review it. Because to be fair to everybody, 6 minutes is the limit. You might decide you can do new 5, and that's okay too. The thing is not to go over. One thing we won't be doing in this 2B round is a live Q&A. But that will happen should you make it to the finals. Okay? All right, so what I want to do now is go through, Jake, I might ask you to do this for me if you don't mind. I want to look at fathering.me. Well, that's the first one. And there are 6 minutes. I want you to pay attention to the art of the pitch, the way it's presented, and then at the end of each one, we'll pause and I'll say, what are some things that he or she, that group did well? All right, let's just sort of do a little real-time learning as we go. Jake, I sort of highlighted the time at around the 29:30 mark.
Okay.
I didn't actually bookmark it in there, but if you toggle over to 29:30. I think that's the beginning of Justin coming on. We just have to allow a little bit of time for transition. Our next team is fathering.me. The idea that changing the world one day at a time. With a big shout out to people in Maine, Tennessee, and Colorado, all of Justin's followers online. Please welcome fathering.me.
Good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I need a little help from you, actually. You might have found a white card on the floor beneath your seat when you got here. If you have one of those cards, could you just hold it up high in the air for me, just for a few moments? Way up high. Take a look around you. That is 1 in every 3 people in this room tonight. There might be one more over there. The math doesn't add up. Did you know that 1 in 3 children in the United States is growing up without a dad? That's nearly 25 million children growing up without the loving, guiding presence of a father. Thanks for your help with that. My name is Justin Stimpson. I'm the founder and CEO of Fathering.me. In the early years of my own life, we're fatherless. I know very well the emotional and relational turmoil caused by growing up without a dad, but it's from within my own fatherless experience that arises my passion to protect others from it. Top researchers and think tanks have labeled fatherlessness an epidemic in our country, a steadily swelling social crisis, an issue most concerning because it impacts nearly every other societal ill we face. Incarceration rates, suicide rates, educational underachievement, and so much more, all directly impacted by fatherlessness. Maybe most concerning, though, is that 70% of all unplanned pregnancies or teen pregnancies involve at least one parent who grew up without a dad. And we also know that a majority of all fatherless situations actually began in an unplanned pregnancy. So the frightening fact is that fatherless kids lead to more unplanned pregnancies, and unplanned pregnancies often lead to more fatherless kids. You can see just how generationally, and if left unchecked, exponentially this problem can grow. But here, in the context of unplanned pregnancies, we uncover an incredible opportunity to make significant generational impact and great progress toward ending fatherlessness. That's why at Fathering.me, we're setting out to encourage, empower, and equip every father involved with an unplanned pregnancy to become the best dad that he can be. We'll do this in 2 distinct ways: through a national network of awesome mentors and a great online resource center. Across the nation, we will develop local networks of passionate, well-trained, and committed mentors who will walk alongside these young men one-on-one for at least a year. In that first year, they will connect with their mentees at least once a week, teaching them how to be a father, teaching them how to be a supportive partner to the mother of their new child. Fathering.me will actively facilitate the matching processes in that first year of the mentorship, but we hope that our mentors become lifelong friends to these new dads and their growing families. We will draw our mentors primarily from within the church, so partnerships with local churches and parachurch men's ministries are vital, and we are already forging those relationships across the country. Other important partnerships, of course, are the local pregnancy resource centers in the communities we will serve. These centers are doing great work caring for the young mothers and the unborn children of unplanned pregnancies, but they are desperate for help in connecting with the fathers of those pregnancies. Fathering.me has already partnered with 3 local pregnancy resource centers right here in the Harrisburg area to do just that.
Over the years of working with young men in challenging situations, I've seen that they really thrive when they are given an opportunity to be mentored. The older men encourage them, empower them, see gifts in these young men, and bring that out. A program like Fathering.me will be an excellent way to encourage these young men in their role as a new dad. I encourage this program, and we look forward to partnering with Fathering.me.
We are passionate about fostering meaningful mentor relationships, but we know as well as you do that emerging generations are becoming increasingly digital. And because most young men involved in unplanned pregnancies won't have a healthy or any relationship with their own fathers, it's not surprising that they're going to the internet with their questions and fears. Well, we want to meet them there, online and on their phones, with the valuable and relevant resources they need to thrive as new dads. Our online resource center will be a gathering place for these new young dads, a collection of engaging and relevant content, and even a platform for e-commerce and growing brand awareness. Our revenue streams include 3 primary channels. First, our mentor commitment contributions are the $500 that mentors will raise each year from their spheres of influence. Second, the mentor matching donor program is for those who aren't able to be mentors themselves, but they're still passionate about our mission. And finally, general donations will be sourced from the vast and already established philanthropic community that is very concerned about unplanned pregnancy support. This model decreases our dependence on the traditional donor development strategies that are often associated with social service nonprofits. It also helps our regional budgets grow appropriately according to their unique size and demands. Harrisburg is a very different city than Denver and needs a very different budget. Most importantly, though, it fosters a culture of unwavering commitment within our mentor communities. Looking forward, we anticipate 3 exciting phases of growth. In 2017 and 2018, we'll launch our pilot mentor program right here in the Harrisburg area, where we will deploy at least 24 mentors by the end of this year alone. In 2018, we'll launch the first version of that online resource center. From 2018 to 2020, we will continue developing our Harrisburg and online operations. We'll launch in a second and larger city, and we will also begin forging relationships across the country in new cities. And in 2020, we will ramp up a scaling initiative that will bring us into 20 cities by 2025. It was 28 years ago when a very unplanned pregnancy brought me into this world. The challenge was insurmountable for my own father. He simply was not prepared to be the dad and the partner that my mom and I needed him to be. But I believe with the right support and the right encouragement, he could have been. Fathering.me's compassionate mentors and online resources will bring community hope and support to the millions of young men who face the same challenges my father did nearly 3 decades ago. We invite you to come alongside us on this critical mission to end fatherlessness before it starts, to transform generations, and to change the world one dad at a time. Thank you.
Okay. Very impressive, I have to say. That's hard to do on your own up there, and to be as on point and directed as you was, I thought, just something that really captured the audience for sure. A couple things that stood out to you. What did you take away? Just a couple highlights of that narrative, that presentation. Anybody? Yeah.
I like he added his personal experience in the beginning, which just like brings the audience in and just shows like a sign of credibility.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, all right, we can really trust that you know what you're talking about to an extent, and not just doing it at the beginning, but like finishing the whole pitch with that. Same,
Started and ended your
exactly,
video.
to reassure. And it's like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I thought the card underneath was very effective.
Mm-hmm.
Right, 1 in 3, are children born without a dad. And I just thought the visual of that was very compelling, right? There was some validation. You already had been doing some of this, right? He talked about his scale model. Right? There are a lot of things he sort of touched on that I thought were really, really sort of well done. What's something maybe he didn't do? If he could have made improvement, give me something you think maybe he could have done. So his financial model wasn't that, he was not really clear about that. And that was probably all along, the whole competition, probably my bigger concern about his plan was the financial model. But obviously, the storyline was so compelling that it overcame the challenges of the model. Okay, let's go to the next one. I don't know the time.
42.
Yeah, 40 something. Yeah, I might be off by a little bit, but yeah. To the stage, Joyful Noise.
Good evening. My name is Lucas Acuna.
And I am Merced Ramirez.
And together with Josh Lee, we are Full Focus Films, a for-profit videography company that specializes in small business advertising through customer experience and testimonials.
In the last 2 years, online video advertising in the U.S. alone has gone from $5 to $9 billion and is still increasing. In this growing industry, Full Focus is unique in 3 ways: production, price, and persuasion.
Our videos are created by millennials that specialize in highlighting a call to action with equipment that is able to capture moments in 4K and from the air.
The average promotional video costs between $5,000 and $20,000. Our prices are below industry averages and are centered on a bundling approach.
Within the first year of launching Full Focus, we have completed 16 projects for businesses ranging from real estate and medical facilities to being featured on the official Martha Stewart blog. Projects such as these prove that there is a demand in the video market in which we can continue to succeed and provide our videos.
Our persuasion strategy is rooted in our unique storytelling approach and in our social bottom line. Full Focus uses its net income to fund the Joyful Noise Project, a free videography service that strives to give people hope by giving a voice to those that are living with life-altering circumstances.
Our team created the Joyful Noise Project as a way to bridge the gap for nonprofit organizations that are supporting great causes, but they just simply don't have the resources to produce videos. And it is for that reason that our team recognized that we could help and empower others through our company's profitability. And instead of money being seen as an end goal, it is now viewed as the fuel to our passion by giving a voice to the voiceless.
A lot of people ask why things happen to them. I say, why shouldn't they happen to me? When people look at my life, I want them to see that I'm not extraordinary. I don't consider myself this great person or anything like that. I also don't want them to see somebody that they should feel sorry for or think things like, oh, the poor guy, he's got Parkinson's and all that stuff. I want them to see that the average person goes through terrible things in life. You can still have purpose for your life. You can still have purpose for living. And you can do things with God's strength that you might not feel like doing, but I think you can do it. I think you can do it with a good attitude. And that's what I hope people, when they talk to me, listen to me, have fellowship with me, whatever, I hope that they get that sense to encourage them to live through what they're going through in their lives.
Hi, my name is Camille Berger.
My name is Trey.
Judd Clarkson.
I'm Kara.
And I live for family.
And I live for life.
I live every day for the experience.
I live for love and life.
So how does this all work? Plain and simple, for every 2 paid projects that we receive through Full Focus, we are then able to fund 1 free project through the Joyful Noise. We are also super excited to announce that we have officially partnered with Live for Today, a nonprofit organization based out of Jacksonville, Florida, whose mission is to help young adults that are battling cancer.
Our team used the $250 given in round 3 to personally fly and meet the founders of Live for Today. Last weekend, we were invited back to Florida for our first video shoot of the program, as well as complete another paid project through Full Focus.
On April 11th, the Joyful Noise launched its first official video, and within the first 24 hours, we reached over 19,000 people with nearly 6,000 views. Fast forward, and by 1 week, our impact reached 40,000 people with 13,000 views.
If we win the $5,000, we can continue to further our impact by investing in new equipment, covering travel expenses, and boosting our online advertising.
We believe that changing the future begins with people, but it ends with a powerful story. And for that reason, we would like everyone in the audience who has been on this amazing journey with us to please stand. First, the participants that were featured in our video tonight, and as they're standing, we would like those who are also wearing our Joyful Noise t-shirts to also stand, because if it wasn't for each and every one of you here, we wouldn't be on this stage tonight. So thank you.
Okay, very different, right, from a presentation style. They did a lot in 6 minutes, those guys, I realize now. Give me a couple of core things you took away from that. Kind of that really, really just sort of resonated with you. Richard, give me one.
I think I kind of flipped it like the last time. I feel like at the beginning they went straight to the point of like what their company is, their financials. They went right to stuff in the first like 40 seconds without introducing kind of like where they come from or where like their inspiration came from. But that obviously they needed that time for telling stories of other videos and people, and so they did a good job. But I thought it was kind of like rushed in the beginning. The first 30, 40 seconds were like fast.
These guys were complete 180 from when they started, by the way. They were not here, right, 3 weeks earlier. I mean, they did a remarkable job of remaking their story. 16 projects that stuck out of my mind, like, we're already doing this, we're validated, we got this partnership, right? You almost got this sense of believability that this is gonna happen. I follow them on Facebook, they're very active today, doing real projects. So I just think they really captured his sound bites. You know, the film within a week had 40,000 likes. Like, so there's this sense of, we understand this, we're digital native, we've got this figured out. I think very, very compelling. Okay. I could talk for a long time about this. We'll close this. I'm blanking on the third one.
Toast smokes. Yeah.
We'll find out.
For staying up to listen to Rove International as they come to the stage.
Good evening, and hello, Sharks. My name is Tyler Heath, and I am Chief Visionary of Rove International. I'm a business and Bible major here at Messiah College.
My name is Rich Spini, and I'm Rove's Strategic Pathfinder. I'm studying entrepreneurship here at Messiah with the hopes of planning a church in the future. Our team consists of Tyler and I, as well as Colin Byrne, our business trailblazer, Blake Martin, our experience coordinator, and Andy Zimmerman, the money guy. And we are Rove International.
The idea of Rove all started out after a volatile church meeting in Venice, Italy. For 4 hours, church members argued over financial issues that they were experiencing. And the sad part about it was that Il Faro Church in Venice was not alone. According to Christianity Today, 50% of church plants are not self-sufficient by year 3. And 35% of church plants fail after the first 5 years. If there was one thing that I understood walking out of that church meeting, is that Il Faro Church did not need another handout or donation. They simply needed a way to help themselves. See, here we were with the church that was struggling financially, but the reality was that they were such a talented and vibrant church community. I had friends who could hike and cook, friends who were artisans, and the list goes on. But the problem was they were on the margins, leaving them unemployed and leaving the church struggling to pay its bills. And on the other spectrum, here we were in Venice, Italy, home to one of the largest tourism markets in the world. Over 60,000 tourists enter Venice each day. That's more than the actual population of the island. But the problem was these tourists were doing things locals never do. They were waiting in lines, paying ridiculous prices for things, and just running around Venice trying to cross things off their itinerary that, once again, locals never did. And to sum it all up, here we were with a church that was struggling financially, with this huge church, but this struggling church. And the other side of it, we had this huge tourism market, but it was over-commercialized. And from that, the idea of Rove began.
Rove International is a for-profit startup that employs local church members to lead authentic cultural tours all over the world that stand in stark contrast to over-commercialized mass tourism. Our goal is to help churches help themselves by giving a portion of our profits to church plants, employing congregants and missionaries, and giving churches a platform to expand their mission. Rove is entering the rapidly growing shared economy, similar to companies like Airbnb and Uber. Take Uber, for example. Uber is a $30 billion transportation company, and they don't own a single vehicle. Rove International, we're a tourism business that doesn't own charter buses or fancy headsets, but we connect people to people. We want our tourists to actually experience the culture that they're visiting, giving them a glimpse into the real, everyday lives of the locals at their destination. To form these connections, we've designed a user-friendly web experience that makes booking your trip hassle-free. As you can see on the screen, at rovetrips.com, you can fully customize the experiences you desire, and we'll connect you with the talented and passionate people of the local church to lead you on your journey. For example, let's say you want to hike the beautiful Dolomites right outside of Venice, Italy. On our website, under Venice, you can see all our trip offerings. You would then select hiking, and you can book and pay for your entire experience completely online. Tour guide bios, trip itineraries, and other useful information about your destination are all available through our site. We operate with a quantity discount pricing model, provides better rates for groups, and larger profits for Rove, as many of our trip expenses remain constant regardless of our group size. In our first year, we're projecting to take 150 people on Rove trips for an annual revenue of $17,500. By year 3, we plan to expand to multiple cities across the globe. Winning the $5,000 tonight would be huge for Rove International. With that money, we'll send our team members overseas to establish and deepen connections. We'll train our tour guides, and we'll amplify our digital marketing efforts through Google AdWords, social media, and email marketing.
Venice, Italy is our launch point. 2 main factors contribute to this point. Number 1, it's a desirable destination for travelers in a large market. And second, we have deep ties to the local church and motivated tour guides. As Rove looks to expand, we will always hit those 2 main points. Our target market, groups, specifically religious, athletic, and educational groups traveling abroad. An example of this, IBI, Messiah's very own International Business Institute, will be traveling around the world this summer with 47 students. And on June 5th, when they go to Venice, Italy, they'll be going on the very first Rove trip, connected with the Il Faro Church through Rove International. And now you hear from Rob D'Andrea, a local missionary in Venice, on the impact Rove can have on his church.
Buongiorno tutti from Venezia, Italy. The business model being presented to you today is of great importance to the advancement of the kingdom of God here in Italy. As a missionary, I often see Italians struggling to provide for themselves and to take on leadership positions within the church at the same time. They need the finances so that they can focus on teaching God's word and ministering to the church. This business model will provide the resources to ensure this financial stability for Italian believers.
That was a real-life example of how a struggling church can be impacted by Rove. We provide jobs for the local congregants, we give financially to the church's general fund, and we provide opportunities for the church to show the hospitality of Christ, all through real-life cultural experiences. With Rove, we believe we can expand the kingdom of God. And who knows, maybe we'll see you on our next Rove trip.
Hello and kia ora everybody, my name is Emily, coming to you from beautiful Tauranga, New Zealand. Hope to see you on your next road trip. Have a good one!
Hi guys, my name is Luisa, coming to you from Tenerife, Spain. Hope to see you in your next road trip. Bye!
G'day guys, Matt Cirillo here, coming to you from Surf Coast, Australia. Hope to see you on your next Rove trip. Have a wicked time.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. It's hard to tell, but those guys really captured the audience that night. It's just hard from the video clip to see that, right? They were humorous, but very playful in their presentation style, and I think that really worked for them. So I think you can tell, like, there's a lot of diversity in how you present. That's why we're not prescriptive about it. We highlight the things we think you need to cover, but use your creativity to decide what is the best way to present that. Okay, well, that's kind of important here. I think let's move forward. These are all in the clip, in the slide deck for you that'll be uploaded if you want to go back to these at any time. I'm not going to go through all these, but these are just good examples of some visuals on how to tell your story, right? For those of you who maybe are struggling a little bit with that. Jake, if you could go forward for me. Yeah. So I think the leading questions are you clear about your business and your impact opportunity? Notice Rove had a beautiful slide about their impact model. 3 tiers of impact, right? The other thing about Rove, this is a faith-informed competition. How does our Christian faith inform our venture? They were the most clear about that, I thought, of any team, right? Again, that's your choice how you choose to message that. But I thought they were very distinctive about it. Justin had that opportunity to, but his message wasn't as clear about that. You could infer what he was talking about, but he never really, he didn't quote scripture or anything like that. I'm not saying you need to or should, but there was an opportunity for him to maybe be a little bit clearer on that point. Maybe by design he wasn't. He's maybe trying to reach a secular audience as well. So there's no judgment in what I'm saying. It's all in how do you want to frame your message, right? He might have been very wise to not frame it that way because he's probably reaching largely unchurched individuals. And so if it sounded a little more, Christianese, if you will, it might have been a little bit of a, maybe he felt like that wouldn't be inviting to some who are unchurched, and that's largely maybe who he's trying to reach. So that's your choice, okay? Is it compelling and likely to lead to a sustainable model and impact? All really important questions. Is it fundable? Like, would we write the check? We being a committee, judges, right? Literally, I will tell you, at least 2 of the 3 years I know in the past, there were judges prepared to write checks to teams that presented that night. I'll also tell you some of them, our student teams didn't handle that well. So I'm going to do a little training about that when we get to the April 6th session. Not as in they didn't want the money, as in they never responded to the invitation to have a dialogue. That's just not a good thing, right? So we'll talk about that. And then is it likely to launch? Like, we really don't want the April 27th to be the end of it, right? It's sort of, we want to see sustainability and that you're likely to go do this, okay? Ultimately, you got to show some profitability because without that, we can't be sustainable and missional. And I think you guys all get that by now in the process. Okay. So to summarize, everything's due by midnight, April 2nd. 2 things: your revised business plan and your link to your video clip. And your video clip, again, the imagery in my mind is those 3 segments you saw are kind of what you're presenting. It's as if you're on stage April 27th. Okay? And then you're going to submit to the same location in the competition portal you always have. And then that's where you should email us if you have any questions. What I would encourage all of you to do is do a mock upload of a video clip in your business plan a day or 2 ahead of time. Nothing's going to get locked down on midnight, April 2nd. I'd hate to have, because we're not going to have a lot of time on the 3rd and 4th to recover from bad submissions. We're literally going to have to be in eval mode morning of April 3rd. So please even do a mock upload or a link to a YouTube clip. Make sure everything works the way you expect it to, so that we're not trying to recover the next day. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody? I say this at this point in the competition. I think for everybody who's ever made it to the finale, that night was probably one of the culminating experiences of Messiah College days. If you're an artist or an athlete, it's like all this preparing for the game, and then that night is like performance night. And the buzz in the crowd, the people you invite to come that night, family and friends who are watching online, the volume of people that are there, the Q&A, it's just one of those nights you'll kind of never forget. So I say that as an encouragement to you all, that I think the experience you're going through, I think will be very formative for you. We hope it is. And I have to tell you, one of my proudest moments is to see every team up there. I wish we could have played all 6 of them. Because there wasn't one of them that presented that night that I wasn't proud of, as the kind of signature of what a Messiah College student looks like. And they look very different, as you can tell. Our passions are different, our communication styles are different. But I just think this is such a culminating experience, an opportunity for you students. And I will tell you, a number of companies have come forward and said, how do I get in contact with these students? I'm interested in hiring some students that have that stage presence and comfort being on stage. So you never know what it's going to lead to and how God's going to work through it. So that's kind of what keeps us doing what we do on the IVC, is what it might mean for you guys. So, okay, we've got about 10 minutes to go or left. Do you have questions or comments, fears? Is everybody okay? You kind of know what we're expecting? If you lack video equipment or know-how, if you go to the media services department and ask them for equipment and sign out, you'll probably have to reference me by name. I'll get a email notifying me as such, and I will approve that for you. So if you need equipment, just let us know. Better email Impact Venture Challenge and we'll direct you. But ultimately, I, as a faculty member, I think will have to sign off on that. And I'll vouch for the fact that you're an IVC participant and so on. You can feel free to recruit another student to help you. They don't have to be on your team to assist you in the presentation style, format, capture, or whatever. That's fair game, however you want to organize that. One final thing. When we announce you on April 6th, the 6 teams that make it to the finals, we're hoping that day, the next day, to be able to give you the $250. I think we're in a good position, right? Everyone's sort of locked into the system, so that money will be transferred to you. So think about when you write about your validation if you make it to the finals, you should write from the vantage point of including how you would use the $250. And then what activity are you going to do? And that's the final thing I want to say. For every one of you, what's a prototype experience you can offer? What's a pilot project you can do? All 3 of those had this. All 3 of them had this sense of provenness, right? Justin, I've got a couple mentors already signed up. I've got some giving already occurring, right? Exhibit A. Exhibit B, full focus and joyful noise. 16 projects done, just signed a partner, and here's a live, here's an on-demand clip of what we do, right? And then Rove had booked IBI, for that trip in June. So you got this strong sense that, the market's already engaging with these. These aren't just concept ideas, but the market's engaging. So I would ask all of you to think about, how do you come across that night as demonstrating some provenness in your idea? Provenness and validation are kind of one and the same, right? We're kind of using those terms sort of interchangeable. Okay? Make sense? Final comment. The judging will happen by the same round of organizing committee members that have been doing it all along, made up of faculty, students, and community members. Up until we select the 6 finalists. Then we have nothing to do with it. The whole competition gets turned over to 6 judges that we've selected, and they score your business plans for 60%. The evening of your pitch, they have another 20% voice in how your score, and then we have an iVote
text to vote.
Yeah, IVC vote, mobile app, and the audience gets to text to vote for the other 20%. But the organizing committee steps away, right? So that there's a complete 6 new judges that come into the fold. And part of that is by design to keep the process as objective as we can. Because I will tell you, I have a certain affinity and liking to certain plans by now, and I don't think that's a good thing. I think there should be another fresh look at all these ideas, okay? And that's kind of the way it will be. Make sense? Okay? Everybody good? Okay. Thanks for making the time, and feel free to let us know if you have questions or comments. But remember, manage your time. You got a revised business plan and a video pitch due kind of the same day. So, yeah.
Are we just like editing like the plan we turned in and then like resubmitting that same one, or do you want it like?
You mean as of the business plan itself? Yeah. I would say I would edit that plan and revise it based on the feedback you've gotten. And for some of you, that may not be a lot. I don't know. One thing that we do want to be careful about, and I think a few of you, I made a very explicit comment on, it's overwhelming for judges to get 18 to 20 pages. And we really do want to stay 9 pages, not counting title. You've got 9 pages to tell your story, and then a financial appendix of no more than a page or 2. So please stay in those guidelines. You know, some of you had 18, 19-page documents. I personally read through all of them. It was a little more than I wanted to, and I want to guard our judges who have a week. If you do 20 pages times 6, they're reading 120 pages. That's a lot of material catching them for the first time. Okay? Thanks, everybody.